What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a quick fight recap, boxing match recap for the Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva match. The decision was just announced. Jake Paul unanimous decision. I don't know about that. Unanimous decision? All right, let's talk about it. So Anderson Silva, 47 years old, obviously out of his prime, but he still looks pretty damn good leading up to this fight with Jake Paul. Jake Paul, former YouTuber, big strong kid, undeniably does have boxing skill, has undeniable power. I'm not saying out of this world elite boxer punching power, but again, he's a big strong kid. Yeah, he can knock you out. He's displayed that in his short career. So the match starts and Anderson Silva is being typical Anderson. Taking his time, being patient, getting reads, coasting a little bit early on. Jake Paul was like boxing the way he normally does. Just the basics, jabs, jabbing to the body, loading up at the right hand. As the fight went on, Anderson started picking it up. He started doing a lot of work in the phone booth, in the pocket, landing beautiful uppercuts, short stinging uppercuts. Jake Paul was doing work to the body. Definitely was loading up a lot more, landing more power shots. But it seemed like to me, Anderson Silva was kind of like controlling the ring, walking Jake down for most of the fight. Just pressure, pressure, pressure. He had Jake against the ropes so many times. Jake having a clinch because it started to get a little bit too hot for him. In the later rounds, Jake started going blow for blow with Anderson against the ropes in the phone booth. But I still had Anderson getting the better of those exchanges overall. Now in the last round, I think it was the last round. How could I forget? It just happened. But I believe it was the last round. Jake Paul scores a knockdown. It was a good short shot. If I recall properly, Jake threw a little short jab up close, uncorked the right hand. Silva was like a little bit off balance. Foot positioning wasn't there. Boom, land something right in Anderson's face, pushed him back. I don't really think Anderson was like hurt, but of course it was a hard shot and he stunned him. Took like 5 seconds, got to his feet, continued on, finished the fight. Now initially I was thinking, I'm like, okay, so that knockdown was enough. In real time, I'm thinking like Jake Paul got the fight. But as I'm looking at the percentages at the end of the fight, Anderson is up on 2 categories out of 3. Now, Jake was landing more power shots because that's his style. That's his game. The kid loads up on everything. That's not Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva kind of like plays with you, pop shots here and there until he finds an opening, and he catches you with sneaky shots. Looking at the percentages, thinking about the boxing match overall, I think I would have gave the fight to Anderson Silva. I want to say Anderson was up more rounds. I think he scored more. I think the forward pressure, making Jake miss. Anderson rode with a lot of shots. I think it was enough where he should have got the nod, even with the knockdown. But I don't know. I have to look at the detailed stats. I'm reading the comments and like as of right now, I'm seeing a lot of comments, people thinking Anderson should have got the nod. But check this out, guys. I want to talk about 2 things. I want to talk about Jake Paul, the boxer, and Jake Paul's callouts after the Anderson Silva fight. So Jake Paul as a boxer, I know he gets a lot of stuff. He's called the YouTuber. I think we kind of have to accept at this point that the kid is a boxer. He's not fighting high-level boxer opponents, but you can't deny with the amount of fights he's had, the amount of boxing matches he's had. At this point, he's a boxer. It has to be accepted. He's a young boxer. And every time he comes out, he is getting better. Is he going to be a world champion one day? No, I don't think that. I will go on record and say, no, I do not believe that Jake Paul would become a world champion. But I think if he keeps going, if he keeps training and working hard, if he keeps gaining experience and his opponent level continues to like slowly increase, I think he can probably be a pretty formidable boxer in time. He's only 25 years old. Imagine if he keeps going to like 30, 31 years old, early 30s. he could get pretty damn good. And that's like with anything in life. The more you do something, the harder you work, the more dedicated you are, you're only gonna improve. So I gotta give credit where credit is due. Yes, Anderson is 47 years old, but he's also not an elderly man. He's not in a wheelchair. He doesn't walk around with a cane. He's still a pretty damn capable striker. I think he's a fairly capable boxer. I mean, he just beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. not too long ago. Pretty impressive. So for Jake Paul not to get finished, to be in a competitive fight, to lump Anderson's face, which maybe the headbutts contributed with that, but he did bloody his nose. For him to have the boxing match he did against a 47-year-old Anderson Silva, I think some credit is due still. And while we're giving props and credit, let's talk about Anderson Silva at 47 years old, fighting a 25-year-old young buck, strong kid, with knockout power clearly. He ate some big bombs. He just ate them. Didn't get knocked out. And I saw some goofy comments, people saying Anderson got a glass chin. Like, what are you talking about? Out of 46 fights, he's only been stopped via strikes 4 times. And we've seen him just like eat some bombs in his mixed martial arts career. So yeah, just absurd comments. But on to Jake Paul's callouts. Nate Diaz, Canelo Alvarez. As far as Nate Diaz, that's another favorable fight for Jake Paul. Nate Diaz is smaller than him. He's weaker than him. Nate Diaz doesn't have the power that Jake Paul has. That's just a fact. Is that a lie? When has Nate Diaz ever had power like that? Of course, toughness, experience goes to Nate Diaz without question. But that's another winnable fight for Jake Paul. He knows how to pick famous, popular legends and fighters that he can beat. I actually think Jake Paul would beat Nate Diaz in a boxing match. But Canelo Alvarez, no. If Jake Paul fights Canelo Alvarez, he's going to get murked. I don't care if he's a little bit bigger, he's going to get murked. If he wants to do that, hey, kudos and props to him. It's honestly beneath Canelo Alvarez to take that fight. I mean, the payday is going to be nothing to him as well. Have a boxing match against Jake Paul. You're like one of the best boxers ever, which I think he will go down as that, versus a fledgling hardworking kid that kind of sort of just started boxing. That's what it is. Huge skill gap. But once again, credit where credit is due. This kid Jake Paul calling out somebody like Canelo Alvarez, that's just crazy. Lofty goals. I kind of like it. He's got balls. Anyway, you guys let me know in the comment section what you thought about the boxing match. Would you have given the nod to Anderson Silva? Or do you think the decision was correct going to Jake Paul? Unanimous decision is crazy to me. But that's how I feel right now at this moment. And no, this fight wasn't fixed. Please stop. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, guys. Drop those thoughts. If this is your first time at the channel and you do like the content, hit that subscribe button. Like and share to show support. Thanks so much, and I'll catch you guys in the next segment. Later.